In this video, I'm going to take a look at the responses to forms. Now, how you get to the responses is you go to your My Drive, if you've never done this before, and you find what you called your form. So you locate the form that you made. I called mine Demo Form 3, and Google will create a response page for that form. And then anytime your students answer your form and then they submit it, their responses will go onto this response sheet. So you just open this up and it will open up a spreadsheet. So I've opened up mine and I can look at my spreadsheet and I can see all of the students who have answered my form and I can see what their answers are. So I can look at the answers through this spreadsheet and I can see what their answers are to all my questions and everything like that. Now there's a couple of things that I can do with this data. The first thing that I can do is, because this spreadsheet came from a form, there's a button here that says form, and if I click on that, I can see the summary of responses. And this is a pretty basic summary, but I can take a look at it and see what it looks like. First off, anything that's a short answer, or a long answer for that matter, will just list what the answers are for each of the students. So last name and first name were just short answers, so it just showed me that. But if you have multiple choice questions, it will actually break them up so that you can see what responses your students had. Another thing that you can do is you can actually use a grading program. And the grading programs are add-ons that you can use to forms. To get an add-on, what you do is you go to where it says add-on right here and you click on it. And if you've never gotten an add-on before, or if you don't have the one that you want, you can click on Get Add-ons down here. And the one that we're going to look for is called Flubaroo, which I already have, so I don't need to get the add-on. But if you click on Get Add-on, a lot of times you'll see Flubaroo on this top page. If you don't, you can just type it in and then hit Enter, and it will search for it and find it. And instead of manage, it will say download or something like that. And then you just download that add-on and it will be a part then of your spreadsheet. So then once you've done that, then when you go to add-ons, it'll say Flubaroo here, and you can use that to grade your assignment. Now there's another one that you can use to grade an assignment, and that's called Super Quiz. I'm going to talk about that one, but I'm not going to demonstrate that one. Super Quiz is a little bit more powerful than Flubaroo, in my opinion, and it does a couple of things that are kind of unique and something that I like. What Super Quiz does is it will take your questions and it will group them into objectives. So if you are giving a quiz that focuses on two different objectives, let's say, you can group, let's say, 2 questions in objective 1 and 3 questions in objective 2, and then it will analyze the student and identify whether they understand each objective or not. Another thing that Super Quiz does is it will allow you to email your students and identify whether they've successfully met an objective or not. And if they haven't met an objective, you can also put in the email what they can do as their next step to improve on that objective. Now, being a little bit more powerful, it is also a little bit more challenging to set up. So if you need any help with that, you can email me and I can help you out with Super Quiz if you're interested in trying that. But we're going to look at Flubaroo today, which is a more basic grading program. Now, when you highlight Flubaroo, it'll give you a drop-down menu, and you can go down over here where it says Grade Assignment. Now, I've actually already graded this one once, so mine says Regrade, but the first time you do it, it would say Grade. I'm going to click on Regrade Assignment, and I'll show you what it looks like as you go through the process. The first page that you get to just wants to identify how many points each question is worth. And each question can be worth anywhere from no points to 5 points. Now, my last name and my first name question, Flubaroo recognized those as ways that I wanted to identify the students, so it put that here as the grading option. But if I wanted this to be worth points, I could do that instead. I could make it worth point values. I could also choose to skip grading a question if I decide that I don't want to grade it or that was not a graded question. And I can also weight things. So if one thing was worth more points than another, I can weight that in this area. I'm going to keep all my weights the same, but if you want to, you can modify your weights here. Then you hit continue. And the second page is where you choose your answer key. Now, I didn't say it before, but one of the things that you have to do is you have to create a form response that is the answer key. So to do that, you have to go to your form and you actually have to complete your form yourself and put all the correct answers in there so that you will have an answer key that the students, or that you can use to then grade your students' submissions with. So I'm going to select the words answer key, and I like to put answer key as my first name and my last name so that I know which one it is. So I'm going to choose answer key as my answer key, and I'm going to continue. Then what it'll do is it'll grade the assignment based on the answer key that I chose. And so I can look then and see what percentages my students had and which students did well and which students didn't do well and all of that. Now, in your responses, your demo form responses, what Flubaroo actually did is it created a new tab down here called grades. So if I want to go back to my original page, I can click on student submissions and I'll see all of the answers that each of my students gave. But if I want to look at the grades themselves, I can look at that on the grades tab and I can see the percentages, the total points, and I can see how many points they got for each question. If I weighted a question, like let's say I made question 3 worth 3 points, then instead of 1s here, it would show 3s in here for these questions. Another thing Flubaroo will do is it will highlight any question that's below 50%. So if your students did not do well on question 3, then it will highlight that and say, hey, maybe we need to look at this again as a class. All right, last couple of things that you can do with Flubaroo. If I go back up to add-ons and go to Flubaroo, once I have done this, I can email these grades to my students, and I can also view a report. And the report gives a histogram of the grades. And if I want to see this histogram in my email, I can email it to myself, so I have a separate copy of it as well. This is the end of my responses video. If you have any questions, you can email me or leave a question in the comments down below, and I will get back to you on that.